Hi grade 12s, welcome to today's lesson which is on time. In particular, it's going to involve calculating one of speed, distance or time depending on which ones have been given. Now, in order to do calculations involving speed, distance and time, we need a formula. So let's have a look at our formula. Now remember, in general you will be given your formulas where you need to use them, but it is handy if you do know what they are to start with. I hope that you have seen a triangle that looks like this. Now this triangle basically gives us our three components. Our distance, this one is our distance, the first one, that there is our distance. This one here is our speed. And this block here is our time. And what this is it's a useful little summary for being able to get your formulas off it. So if you have a look, the top one here is distance. So if we are looking for our distance, we have to take the two at the bottom. Because they are side by side, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be multiplying the two quantities. In other words, if we have to calculate a distance, then our distance is going to be equal to our speed multiplied by the time taken to cover the particular distance. Okay, now, if we need to calculate our speed, then our speed is at the bottom, we have distance at the top and time at the bottom. So, in fact, what we are going to do here is we are going to be dividing over there. So, we're going to have that our formula for speed is equal to our distance divided by the time. Okay, and then finally, again, when we want to now calculate what time is at the bottom. So again, we're going to take these two quantities here and we are going to be dividing them. So our time, if we have to calculate time, then that is going to be our distance, and we have to divide that by the speed. Okay, now let's put this into practice and let's have a look at some examples. Let's look at our first example. We have a train and it's traveling at a speed of 150 kilometers per hour. That's the important thing there. Let's take note of that. And it travels a distance of 1,340 kilometers. How long, that's what we need to find out, how long did it take the train to complete its journey? Okay, how long did it take? So let's quickly go back to our previous page here. Long is time. So here's our time, it is distance divided by speed. Now, we can in fact use abbreviations for that. So our time is equal to our distance divided by our speed. So what is our distance? Have a look here, reread the problem. It is 1,340 kilometers. We have to divide that by the speed. Here it is over here. It is 150 kilometers per hour. Okay, so we're going to need our calculator to do that. So we've got 1,340 and we have to divide that by 150. Let's see what that gives us. Right, change it to a decimal. So on your decimal it is 8,9333, in other words 3 recurring. If we have to do it to 2 decimal places, which is often your instruction, then if we have a look at our third position over here, it is going to round this. Well, it's not going to round the 3, it's going to leave the 3 as it is. Okay, so it's going to be 8,93. Now we need to look at our units. We are working with time. Here we have kilometers and we have kilometers per hours. So our unit here must be hours. Okay, let's have a look at another example. Now this example says that Mary is driving at a speed of 110 kilometers per hour. Okay, so let's have a look at our important information. If you've got a highlighter, then highlight it, good idea. So there you've got 110 kilometers per hour, and that is the speed. How long will it take her to travel 312 kilometers. Okay, so how long? It's again another time question. So let's go back and have a look here. Our time is distance divided by speed. I always like it when you start with the actual formula. It's always a good idea. So your time is equal to your distance divided by your speed. And our distance is 312 kilometers. Let's put our units in there. And we're dividing that by 110 kilometers per hour. Once again, we're going to need our calculator to do this calculation. So it's 312 divided by 110. Let's change that to a decimal. Right, this time when we have a look, we look at our third decimal place. It's a 6, which means it's going to change this 3 over here to a 4. So it's going to be 2,84. Okay, so let's write that down. So it's going to be 2,84. Again, we have kilometers and kilometers per hour, which means our time is going to be in hours. Okay, let's have a look at another example. Let's read this question through together. High-speed trains can travel 130 miles per hour, and we abbreviate that as MPH. Now it says how many kilometers does the train travel in 4 hours? And we're given some additional information. We are told that we must use 1 kilometer is 0,6 miles. So let's have a look why we've been given this information. Well, high-speed trains can travel at 130 miles per hour. And they are asking us how many kilometers does the train travel in 4 hours. So we are going to have to do two things here. We're going to have to first convert our miles per hour to kilometers per hour. And when we've done that, then only can we calculate how many kilometers it has done. And this is our conversion that we have to use. Okay, so 130 miles per hour. So let's start with that. And we say, right, what is 130 miles per hour in kilometers? So if we have miles per hour, we've got to change that to kilometers. Now, 130 miles per hour. Let's start by calculating how many miles it does in the 4 hours. Okay, so how many kilometers? We're looking for distance. Okay, so let's quickly go back to our formula that we had over here. We're busy calculating our distance. Now our distance is our speed multiplied by our time. Okay, let's remember that distance is speed times time. So our distance is going to be our speed. Our speed is 130 miles per hour. Okay, our time is 4 hours. Okay, so we take that and we multiply those two. We get 130 multiplied by 4 gives us 520. So 520, but this is miles. Okay, this is miles, not kilometers. We now have to convert it. Now, let's have a look at the way that I like to do conversions. I find it the easiest if we take what we've been given up here. So, we have got kilometers, and we are going to change it to miles. So, what do we have? They tell us that 1 kilometer is equal to 0,6 miles. Notice that I'm taking these units and I'm lining them up underneath these. So now we're going to put that equal to. On this side, we're again going to have our kilometers and we are going to have our miles. Okay, so we want to know how many kilometers we've got. We don't know what it is. So let's call that X kilometers. I know this sounds like math, but this really is the easiest way of doing it. Now, how many miles have we got? We have got 520 miles. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a little equation and we're actually going to solve it. So I always start on the side where I've got the variable, and here is our X. So we're going to take the x, we're going to put it in the top of the fraction, and we're going to go x divided by 520. Remember that all a ratio is in fact a fraction that looks a different format. Now, if on the left-hand side we have gone x divided by 520, on the right-hand side we must do a similar thing. So here we're going to go 1 divided by 0,6. Okay, now we're going to use our little trick that says that if we've got one fraction on this side, one fraction on this side, we can actually cross multiply. So we're going to multiply those two by each other, multiply these two by each other, and then we are going to solve. So 0,6 times x is 0,6x. And then on this side, 1 times 520 is of course just 520. Right, now think back to your days when you were doing these equations, and you do have to be able to solve simple equations like this. We want to get x by itself, so what we're going to do is we're going to divide this side by 0,6, the coefficient of our x, and whatever you do on the one side, you must also do on the other side. So we're going to divide here by 0,6 as well. And when we do that, these two over here are going to cancel nicely. That one and that one, they are going to cancel, so that we get just x left on the left-hand side, which is what we want. And the right-hand side, we're going to use our calculator. We're going 520 divided by 0,6, and let's change that to a decimal. 866,66. Let's round this off to the nearest whole kilometer. So this comma 6 is going to change this 6 into a 7. So our final answer is going to be 867 kilometers. Okay, let's just have a look at that example again. So they tell us that we have to travel 130 miles. The speed is 130 miles per hour, and we are traveling for 4 hours, and they want us to give an answer in kilometers. So the first thing we do is we calculate how many miles we've done by taking your speed multiplied by your time. Once we've done that, we now know we want to convert the 520 miles into kilometers. And as I said, I find it the easiest if you actually take it and you set up a sum that looks like this, a little ratio sum. So we're told that we have 1 kilometer, 0,6 miles. We want to know how many kilometers there are, and we know we have done 520 miles. We now do two fractions by doing the same thing on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So x divided by 520 is the same as 1 divided by 0,6. We now cross multiply it, so x times 0,6 gives you your 0,6x, and 1 times 520 is 520. On the left-hand side, our two 0,6's cancel, that's why we divided by 0,6, and on our right-hand side, when we divide 520 by 0,6 and round it to the nearest kilometer, we get 867 kilometers. I hope that has cleared up your speed, distance, and time.